Working Group Knowledge Exchange Series. This is a part of the One Health Commission and One Health Social Science Initiative. I'd like to start by acknowledging the land, any humans, and any non-humans who are joining us today. I also want to acknowledge the Positive Connections Lab at the University of Saskatchewan and the One Health Commission for making this recorded series a possibility. The One Health Social Science Initiative was formed within the One Health Commission in 2017, and our Human Animal Bond Working Group was formed in the fall of 2024. The group was initiated by myself. My name is Colleen Dell, and I'm a professor and research chair in One Health and Wellness at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon, Canada. Our evolving list of working group members are on our webpage on the One Health Commission website, and we are always looking to recruit new members, so do be in touch. So you see there the onehealthcommission.org, and under there you'll see the One Health Social Science Initiative, and then we are the Human Animal Bond Working Group. The photo shared here is some of the members of our working group. This was our second Zoom call. I think this is around November of 2024. And we have representation here from Nigeria, Ghana, the United States, Canada, Australia, Bangladesh, France, Brazil, Peru, and more. The direction of the Human Animal Bond Working Group is decided collaboratively by all of our members. And here's a working or a draft purpose statement. It says the One Health Working Group on the Human Animal Bond is dedicated to advancing the understanding and recognition of the diverse and dynamic interactions between humans, non-human animals, and the environment, focusing on the mutual benefits and challenges of the human-animal bond through a transdisciplinary lens. A more detailed version of our evolving or our working purpose statement can also be found on our webpage. As you know, or as many will know who are watching in, One Health addresses the complex interplay between human, animal, and environmental health. However, it's been predominantly led by veterinary and medical disciplines, and therefore focusing on zoonotic disease, which many also will know is the transmission of disease between humans and animals. One Health has frequently been overlooked by social science perspectives, such as values, culture, and well-being. And this is why the One Health Social Science Working Group formed in 2017, and now our subgroup on the Human Animal Bond in 2024. One of our first tasks as a working group is to offer a knowledge exchange series to share the various approaches to and understanding of the human-animal bond across our global network. In our increasingly globalized, dynamic, and our complex world, the human-animal bond offers opportunities for sharing as well as gaining new scientific insights. Integrating the human-animal bond with social science theories, social science methods, and intersectional analysis, for example, including social, psychological, cultural, and economic views, alongside mainstream epidemiological approaches, enables our working group, or aims to enable our working group to consider global health risks in a comprehensive way. As an international and transdisciplinary group, we bring together Western science, Indigenous knowledge, lived and living experiences, as well as geographical, cultural, and more than human perspectives and worldviews, all to better address complex One Health challenges. So please enjoy this webinar and be sure to be in contact with any questions or comments on our webpage. And if you want to join our group, you can send an email to me at kisbey@gmail.com. KISBEY@gmail.com. Thank you. Enjoy.
Hi, hello, good morning. In the time zones where morning is, we are all in different zones, I think. Here in Germany, we have afternoon and it's beginning to become dark already. So my name is Michael Christian Schulze. I come from Berlin in Germany and I want to talk to you about the Animal Hoarding project. So I am a physician and a public health scientist, and have worked in different fields of medicine, practical medicine, theoretical medicine. And together with my wife, I have founded a small institute which is called Institute for Intra and Interspecies Communication. And in this institute, my wife conducts animal-assisted interventions, and I do research on human-animal relation and human-animal interaction. So our project has 4 project partners. The first one is a large German animal welfare federation, which is called Deutscher Tierschutzbund, and it is one of the largest organizations, animal welfare organizations in Germany, and well known in Germany. The second partner is the Professional Association of Official Vets. So these official vets, they are not in practices, they don't treat animals, they are public authorities, and they, for example, they monitor animal husbandry, they are responsible for slaughterhouses and all these kind of things. The third partner is the Human-Animal Relationship Research Group at the Technical University of Dresden, to which I belong, although I'm living in Berlin. But nobody of this group is at Dresden, so it's a bit strange, but I or we belong to that group. And the fourth partner of this project of which I talk is called Tiersucht, which is a small non-profit organization that cares for human-animal relationship of people in precarious living situations, and I am the head of this non-profit organization. So first of all, I would like to give you a few impressions of animal hoarding. And here you already can see what happens. On one side you see a lot of animals in this in this photo, budgies, and you see that the households are in a catastrophic state sometimes. It is littered, and it's not in a good state. So this is quite a typical build from animal hoarding households. Here you see the same. Here you don't see birds, but in the cages there are small animals. I don't know exact what, perhaps rats, perhaps mice, guinea pigs, I don't know, something like that. And you can see that often in those households, in the apartments or in the houses, are a lot of cats or dogs, and they destroy the furniture. So this is when you get into these houses, they can look like that, and you can imagine that the animals are also in a very bad condition sometimes, and they are suffering a lot. They are ill, they are dying, they are dead. Sometimes there are hundreds of dead animals in those households. So what is animal hoarding? When we speak of human-animal relationship, of human-animal interaction, we mostly focus on the positive aspects. What benefit have humans if they have animals? How good are animals for the health, and so on? But we have to realize that sometimes the relationship of human and animals is not good for the animals, and that animals can suffer, and they often are suffering. We have to realize that we have two sides of a coin, one nice side and one bad side. And animal hoarding is definitely a bad side of the human-animal relationship, and it is in my eyes, it is a classical welfare theme issue, because both sides suffer, the humans and the animal. The phenomenon of animal hoarding probably is very old. It hasn't had a label, but it is old, definitely. And the first scientific description of this phenomenon was done in 1981 by Worth and Beck, and they called it multiple animal ownership, but it was exactly the same as animal hoarding, just another name. And the modern term we use today, animal hoarding, was introduced by Petronek et al. And Petronek is one of the pioneers in the field of animal hoarding. And it is quite a new expression. It was introduced in the late 1990s, so it is round about 25, 30 years old now, these terms which we use now. So what is animal hoarding? Definitely too many animals, that is clear. But what are too many animals? So for one person, 8 dogs or 10 dogs might be okay, might be fine. The dogs can be in a perfect condition. And for other persons, they cannot handle so many dogs. So it depends on the person, and it depends on the species, because having 9 fish in an aquarium is not a problem. Having 9 horses or 20 dogs in a house is a problem. So it depends on the persons, and it depends on the species. And when we speak of animal hoarding, this always means that the minimum standard is not being met, and this means suffering for the animals. So this is the second fact. And the third one is, and this is the biggest problem, that the pet owners, they don't realize that they have a problem. So they think they treat their animals very good. They do not react to the animal suffering. They deny the problem. They downplay the problem. And that is the reason that it is so difficult to make progress, because you have persons who don't see that there is a problem. And this is always you know it from the addiction medicine. Colleen definitely knows it. If people have an addiction problem and they deny it, you can't do nothing. So you always can work if people see they have a problem and want to change something. This and the animal hoarders in most cases don't see that they have a problem. The consequences of animal hoarding are sometimes very dramatic. If the vet offices, those public authorities of which I spoke, if they want to get out the animals of the households, they need sometimes support of rescue organizations like fire brigade, like police, and so on. So it is a big thing to get out the animals of those households. And at the moment in Germany, I don't know what it is like in other countries and in overseas. In Germany, the topic at the moment receives a high level of media interest. You often can read something about animal hoarding, but these reports mostly are very sensationalist ones, and we don't have representative data on animal hoarding. So we really don't know how common is it. Is it an exception that sometimes happens, or is it a real problem? How often does it happen? And in particular, we don't know very much. To be honest, we don't know nothing about the people who hoard animals. We don't know much about about the hoarders, about the persons. But when we want to solve the problem, we have to know something, and we have to get in contact with these people, because the animals are not the problem, the persons are the problem. What we already know about the animals is very simple. You can find all kind of animals, usually domesticated ones, but also sometimes wild animals. So every animal you can imagine, you can find in animal hoarder households. Most of the times cats and dogs, especially in towns. But also small animals, all kinds of small animals, rabbits, guinea pigs, mice, rats, and so on and so on. But also, if you go into the countryside, you also can find big animals, large animals, sheep, pigs, horses, cattle, all types of birds. You remember the first photo I showed there. You saw the budgies. Birds are quite common, mostly held by men. But also reptiles, snakes, and lizards, and sometimes very dangerous specimens like very poisonous snakes or large constrictors. So it can also be quite dangerous to get out these animals. What we know about the humans, very, very few. We know that most of the times they are women, so the relation between woman and man are around about 2 to 1, so 2/3 are women. We know that the preferred age group is between 40 and 60, so the medium age, the younger people, they don't hoard so much, and the old people as well. And you find all professions and all educational standards among the hoarder, including vets. They also sometimes they hoard animals. Patronek, which was the pioneer of which I spoke, who formed the expression animal hoarding, he tried to classify the hoarders, and he tried to construct types of hoarders. And so the first type he defined was, or is, the so-called overwhelmed caregiver, which are persons they like to have animals, so but in an extreme way, and they are only happy if they have animals around them. The second type is the rescue hoarder. These are persons who feel the mission to save animals, abandoned animals, sick animals, and they are getting more and more, but they tried with a good mission. They tried, but sometimes it ends not very good. Then the so-called breeder type, who wants to breed dogs, for example, or cats, but nobody wants to buy them, and then they are getting more and more. And the fourth type, which is not which is seldom, is the so-called exploiter hoarder, and those are sociopaths or people with a severe personality disorder, severe mental illness, and those kind of things. At the end of the day, it always happens the same. For what reason ever, overwhelmed caregiver, rescue, breeder type, whatever, you have too many animals. And then most of the times you find an uncontrolled reproduction, which means the animals are getting more and more. Then perhaps the people have a crisis, and a financial crisis, a health-related crisis, a psychological, emotional, or whatever crisis, and so they cannot handle it anymore. And then you have a tipping point. The minimum standards can not longer be met, and then you have the full screen animal hoarding at the end. So a medical classification does not really exist at the moment. In Germany and Europe, we usually classify diseases with the International Classification of Diseases, ICD. At the moment, most of the countries are working with ICD-10. And in this classification system, you don't find anything about pathological hoarding, and you don't find anything about animal hoarding. So pathological hoarding is hoarding of things, but not of living objects. So it's more common than animal hoarding, but you don't find nothing about pathological hoarding in ICD-10. Now there is also ICD-11, but only few countries are working with it. In this version, you find a possibility to classify pathological hoarding, but not animal hoarding. And the question is animal hoarding, is it a subcategory of pathological hoarding? Perhaps yes, perhaps not, we don't know. And in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, the US American system, there you have pathological hoarding, and in the description of pathological hoarding, which has a lot of pages, there is one short. There are a few sentences also about animal hoarding. So this is the first time that animal hoarding, you can find something about animal hoarding in a classification system. But in my eyes, there are a lot of open questions regarding the classification, because is animal hoarding a distinct illness? Is animal hoarding a specific form of pathological hoarding? Is animal hoarding perhaps a symptom of other mental illnesses? We really don't know now. So the aims of our study are, first of all, to gain representative data on the prevalence and also incidence of animal hoarding in Germany, so that we know how big is the problem. Second, to gain insight why people become animal hoarders. To clarify questions of medical classification, and third or fourth, to develop prevention strategies. So our study design is a mixed methods design. In part one, we have done a representative survey of all vet offices in Germany, that are around about 400 in all regions, in all large towns and so on in Germany. Part two will be guideline-based interviews with hoarders, and part three will be to develop a prevention strategy. And at the moment, part one is almost complete, so we hope to publish in the first half of the next year, so in 26. Part two is now in the preparation phase, and we will start with it next year, hopefully. And part three is just planned. And so that it was. Thank you for your interest and your attention, and I will gladly inform you about our detailed results in next year, or perhaps the year after the next year. And now I think it's time for question and discussion.